new resin and new oil. There's an abundance of recycled plastic out there that we could use, but no one was making vitamin bottles out of them. So we finally talked someone into doing it, and that's what we've been doing ever since. So, and of course, our bottles are recyclable as well. So we try to be as responsible as we possibly can in every step of the way. The reason now we're talking about our secure meal replacement, I thought it was a perfect product. As I said before, a couple of the worst things we can do for the health of our vision over the course of our lifetime. Top on that list is smoke cigarettes.
Right.
So if you're looking for another reason to stop smoking, I just gave it to you. Because nothing will undermine the health of your eye, the lens of your eye, the retina and macular region of your eye than smoking cigarettes. Another thing, and it's most people don't realize this, simply being overweight and certainly being obese, that the moment we have challenges with our blood sugar metabolism, the moment we suffer or experience from insulin resistance, the moment we're not as sensitive, our body is no longer as sensitive to insulin as it ought to be, that's the moment when our body creates an environment that is not as healthy for our eyes, and that's an unfortunate thing right now in America, because in some states, literally 40% of the population is obese. That's almost half the population is obese. And overall in this country, about 35% of the population is obese, and over 75% are overweight or obese. We know the implications of that to our cardiovascular system. We know the implications, or hopefully we do, of that to our aging brain. We need to also know the implications that that poses also for the health of our eyes and the quality of our vision as we age. So that's why weight loss, and as I was saying earlier today, I was reading an article in Scientific American, and it's not the first article I've read in that regard, and it's one of the reasons why I've always said when it comes to weight loss, 80% of what we put in is what we put in our body. That yes, exercise is important, but exercise and fitness are important for health and well-being for so many different reasons in terms of the systems in our body. But in terms of purely looking at weight loss as a sort of a biochemical and physiologic process, the key is what we eat. And what this article in Scientific American talked about is how we are different from other animals, and how the energy our brain requires, that we literally have an enormous energy requirement. And whether we exercise or whether we're sedentary, it doesn't really change that energy requirement all that significantly. So the key to losing weight is really finding a way to comfortably eat less for an extended period of time. That's the key, managing to put more of the right things in our body, reducing the quantity of calories and improving the quality of those calories. And that is exactly what this meal replacement was done. It was scientifically designed to give you the lowest calorie meal replacement with the best calorie composition, using the best source of protein for weight loss as well. It's also the single greatest investment, I am sure, that any meal replacement has made in terms of flavor. Because you could do all the other scientific things right with a meal replacement. If it doesn't taste great, no one will use it. So there's nothing like this. It also mixes without a blender. You could, and I'll show that in a moment.
And I want to take you through the options in terms of pricing today, because again, special pricing for the amazing visit with Andrew. You can choose 10 servings, 30 servings, or there's the 60 servings. People do love the flavor. So obviously the more you buy, the more you save. 60 would normally be $69.90. Today it's $49.90, and it's on 2 flex. That saves you $20. And those 5 great flavors, you can choose chocolate, vanilla, coffee, mixed berry, or pina colada. Andrew said it, and I know that the amount of research that went into getting that taste profile just perfect was a lot of hard work. Andrew reads all of the feedback and the reviews, and that's why we are so confident.
It was my original meal replacement.
You weren't happy.
Oh, it was terribly reviewed. Because scientifically it was brilliant, and then it was terribly reviewed, and then I realized, okay, that I can't just invest in science, I have to invest even more in flavor, or the science is never going to get past anybody's taste buds. So, and that's what we've done. You open any of these bottles, and it just, the smell alone, you could taste it in your mouth. Yeah. And what I'll do is I was going to mix some here. I won't have time to go through, we have some great reviews on this. I encourage you to read them. It's a meal replacement that's a few dozen calories, literally 60+ calories. So to think that a meal replacement that's 60+ calories is reviewed at about 80% positive reviews is truly incredible. I think it's rated between 4.1 and 4.2 stars, which again for a 60+ calorie meal replacement is astounding. Yeah. And I'll mix them up here.
Now you said, Andrew, you don't need to use a blender. There's no really hard work in making this.
At home, we often will use a blender just because I like to mix it with frozen berries or frozen banana. But even here, I'm putting 3 scoops of chocolate in, and so normally you'd only be mixing 1.
I could actually,
yeah, actually what I was going to do is, why don't put another scoop in there, Adam, please?
For you?
Yeah, I want to show everyone, there's 4 scoops in there. So, and this is the best way to see if a product really dissolves. It's 4 scoops, probably about 12 ounces of water. And what you'll see is even 4 scoops and 12 ounces of water, just sticking to the side of the glass a little, but in whatever it will be, probably about 15 seconds, maybe 20 seconds, it's all dissolved. And you can see just the rich dark color.
Oh, it smells good, doesn't it, Andrew?
And it's truly delicious. I mean, the hard work wasn't the science, and certainly all of the nutrients were specifically selected for their solubility, their ease of mixing, they're not being bitter. So this is an exercise that most other meal replacement companies never would go through. Plus, and we have dozens of reviews, or perhaps hundreds, that talk about this, the cost. It would cost more to eat a meal than this meal replacement. This meal replacement, typical meal replacements are several dollars. You can get a blended coffee, it's several dollars. A green drink is $5, $8, $10. It's 75 cents. And the levels of vitamins and nutrients, it's like a mini multivitamin when you look at this.
Yeah.
So,
and the taste, I mean, I cannot stress enough, the taste is fantastic. That really is the icing on the cake.
Oh, it's the chocolate. I mean, I had 4 scoops in here, so it is so rich. It's incredible. And the one criticism we'll often hear is it's too much flavor. It's too sweet. If it wasn't too much flavor, it wasn't too sweet, you wouldn't enjoy it. You could always use less of it. You could always dilute it more. So if we can't start with too much flavor, then you'd be out of luck. So if we just look at the levels, 100% of the RDA of vitamin C, 100% of the RDA of vitamin D3. It's like a mini multivitamin. Yeah. 50% of the RDA of basically everything else. 200% of our special form of B12 that no one has, that's a coenzyme methyl B12. And then, of course, even the typical multivitamins give you 30 micrograms of biotin, right. The beauty vitamin. We give you 5 times more. So, and to think that it's about 75 cents a meal, not even $1 or $2 or $3 a meal. And I'm astounded when I was in New York recently, I went and got myself a green drink. It was $8 for a green drink. You get yourself one of those blended coffee kind of drinks. It's $5.95, $6.95. It's expensive everywhere. I think just things are crazy expensive in New York. But it's really, when you consider what's in this drink, that it's first of all, it's delicious, the investment we make in flavor. It's only 63 to 70 calories. And a way for you to understand how big the investment is in flavor is that every one of them isn't the same caloric content. The flavor component is such an enormous component of this product that it changed the calories by 10%. So they vary between 63 and 67. The highest is the coffee. And the lowest is the vanilla, and the chocolate is in between. But it mixes quickly and easily, rich, delicious, and filling, 7 grams non-GMO soy protein. We also make a version with whey protein. We also make a version with marine collagen peptides. Your choice. Soy protein, I think, is the best for weight loss. Many people choose whey protein if they are allergic to soy or if they exercise. Marine collagen peptides, if you want to do something healthy for your joints or for your skin, marine collagen peptides are great. It's low in sodium, low in fat, only 1.5 grams, 0 trans fat, 0 saturated fat, 0 cholesterol, also gluten-free, less than 8 grams of carbs, less than 30 carbohydrate calories, 22 essential vitamins and minerals, 100% of the RDA of vitamin C and D, 200% of B12, 50% of vitamin E, and all the B vitamins and biotin. So there's really nothing like it in terms of vitamin mineral content, and there's nothing like it in terms of flavor. And it's also the world's lowest calorie meal replacement, which means you can add fruit, you could add non-fat yogurt, non-fat milk, you could add different things, and you'll still barely get to 100 calories. And the difference between the meal replacement and the meal you would have eaten, that's your weight loss. And as I said before, the key to weight loss isn't activity. Health requires activity. Health requires exercise. The key to weight loss is managing and finding a consistent way to manage what we put in our body.
All the things that you do want and none of the things that you don't want. That's what's inside Secure. Cheers. Please make sure you get yours. Again, those fabulous flavors as well.
Wow.
You will love it. Andrew, I honestly don't know where the time goes when we're on.
We're almost done. We only have about 20 some odd minutes left.
Should we go over this way?
And we'll talk about Ultimate Eye and Chuck and Uva a little. And
yeah.